gentlemen, here we are on this lovely but yet cloudy Thursday, June 24th, 2021. Now, I gotta say, yesterday was a kick-ass show, so I will try to keep that same energy going forward in today's show and in the future. We'll see how that all pans out. There was a lot of emotion in yesterday, so to me, it was pretty decent. All right, now there really isn't a whole lot going around in the world of football, and we've talked about that the last couple days and weeks, actually, because we are in that dry period, there's no really transactions going on other than, cuts, or there might be a trade or two coming up. I have no idea, especially with this guy, Aaron Rodgers. But like I said, it's pretty dry, so we'll try to keep things interesting as possible. Now, today, we have got a couple of interesting things to talk about. So, hey, it should be a fun one. So with that being said, are you ready to get your fix? Well, before I get started with the three main things that I'm going to be talking about today, we're going to bring up one little interesting fact, actually a big interesting fact that I am absolutely pumped up for, and it's finally been said. Okay, the NFL came out actually not too long ago, a couple hours ago, saying that starting in 2022, they will allow teams to wear an alternate helmet. Now, I have been waiting for this for so long, okay? You go look back, and I think the last time, I'm not 100% sure, but I know, you look at the 2009 season or the 2010 season and stuff like that, they were able to really wear, throwback jerseys, throwback helmets. And I loved it, okay? Not only did I love it, I think fans loved it. I think teams loved it. And then all of a sudden the NFL comes out and they say, nope, not anymore. You have one helmet. That's all you can use, blah, blah, one uniform style. And why? I mean, that was it's boring, okay? You got your home, you got your away, and then they tried throwing in that color rush. It was all right. Now, there's many people who didn't like it as much as I did. I thought it was a good way to introduce a new uniform style that they were wearing. But going to this alternate helmet, or going back to this alternate helmet, it's awesome. Okay, you look at the New England Patriots old one with the white, and then you got the Revolutionary War guy on there, hiking the ball, or you go look at Denver's with the big D on there, with their Bronco coming out of it or whatever. And then, the Eagles, the old green helmet, there's a lot of helmets, the Oilers, and stuff like that. So this is awesome. Really, really good news. It gives us a chance to see something different. And I think that's what we all have kind of been waiting for, is a little bit of a change of scenery, especially with the number change this year. It's going to be a lot of different things. So we're going to get used to that number change this year, and then bam, in 2022, we got alternate uniforms. We can go back to the throwbacks, and really what this does is just, add a little bit more an interesting factor to the game of football, and I'm pumped up for it. I know there's probably a lot of you out there who are pumped, especially John. Me and him have talked about this. Like, I wish they wouldn't have went away from that rule, because it was awesome to see. I mean, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers helmet and all of that, because there is so much history, especially with every franchise that has been made throughout the NFL history. So we're gonna move away from that, and let's get started with some big news, okay, surrounding the annual scouting combine. Now, Indianapolis, okay, has hosted the scouting combine since 1987. I'm not sure when it actually started. I'm pretty sure maybe it did start in 1987, or just, wasn't as big until then. And this has been the place for NFL scouts to really get a closer look, okay, at the top college football athletes around the country, the nation. They invite, I want to say it's like 150 or something people or athletes there to really showcase what they got. They do the 40-yard dash, the bench press, a whole bunch of, drills and all that. And it's really a fun event for us as fans to watch, not as much for the athletes, because, they have to get up at I think it's like 3 or 4 in the morning, kind of get ready for their day, blah, blah. They have to be in hotels at a certain time, and then they have to be ready at their drills at a certain time, and, it's just a lot of chaos. But it also shows NFL scouts that they are, disciplined enough to be ready to showcase their skills whenever the day may be, and stuff like that. Now, last night, okay, as reported by Mickey Shuey, the NFL started accepting bids from other cities to host the Combine starting in 2023. I know there's a couple teams out there who are already trying to place their bids. I think the Dallas Cowboys are one. The Las Vegas Raiders are one. And I heard a couple other ones I can't really think of off the top of my head. But there are already cities, putting their bid in to say, hey, like, come over here. Let's, do the scouting combine here, so we don't necessarily have to travel, or, it boosts, revenue and stuff like that. And we'll get to that a little bit later. So after the 35th straight year, okay, of being in Indianapolis, okay, Ian Rappaport confirmed this statement by saying all clubs have the opportunity to let the league know if they have an interest in hosting the combine, but also the upcoming drafts and Super Bowls. Now, drafts and Super Bowls are also, I think, they've already kind of done that. You get the host or put your bid in there, and then they can go out and really choose if they want to, the highest bid pretty much wins that selection of the draft or the Super Bowls and whatnot. Now, the Super Bowls are already done ahead of time, where the draft is more like after the draft takes place. They kind of start holding bids for that, and then later on in the season, they're like, all right, this is next year's draft place and whatnot. Okay, so they've already done this for the drafts and Super Bowl, but then Ian Rappaport said the focus is really on growing and evolving marquee events to reach millions of fans locally, nationally, and internationally, and hopefully that continues to grow. So now, this is actually some pretty huge news, because with it being in one place for so long in Indianapolis, they already have really all the things they need to accommodate the event and the athletes. Okay, so they got like the hotels already set up and booked. There's probably like a week or so that they know that's all for the athletes. They got restaurants already getting ready to, host these athletes for them to go eat and whatnot. They have to eat healthy, obviously. And then whatever else is really needed, okay? Casinos and blah, 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 and just having fun and really just getting them ready or for the NFL, okay? Now, a big question and obstacle about moving the combine will be to figure out if the bidding cities have all the right things, okay, to make the event go smoothly, just like Indianapolis has done for 35 years, or will have done for 35 years, going into the 2023 combine, okay? Like, this is like, do they have the hotels in place close by so that it's not that far of a travel? Do they have, all the, restaurants? Do they have the training equipment for them to get ready and all that, stuff that goes into the scouting combine? Now, also, this could be a huge revenue booster for other cities, okay? Because it brings in all that money from, scouts, the athletes that are going to be buying things and all the merchandise and, all that, social media, clout, if you will, and really just kind of bringing their stadium to fans around the world that really probably haven't seen too much of the stadium or haven't really got to watch any games of that stadium or being taken place. There you go. Okay, so now I sorta like this because, like I said, okay, it gives the NFL scouts, gives them an opportunity to evaluate the athletes differently. Okay, it's always been in Indianapolis. Okay, closed indoors. You really don't get to see how they react. Say if it was in an outdoor stadium, how are they going to react with the wind? Probably the rain and whatnot. Or there is, all the stadiums are different. Okay, the turf or grass could be different because there's some stadiums that have turf, some that have grass. Okay, I think one of them that has grass is actually Phoenix. They have to roll theirs out, let it sunbathe, roll it back in, and whatnot. So all the turfs are different. I mean, we've seen the 49ers go to the New York Jets last year in MetLife Stadium and, literally just tear up every little ligament in their leg. So granted, MetLife Stadium's probably not going to be anywhere near that bidding platform, and the NFL probably will be more of aware of that as well going forward until they get an upgrade and whatnot. So really this gives not only the scouts, but as us fans, okay, a chance to see how the players react in different stadiums and different situations. So it really could be interesting how that scouting combine actually will end up and if things are going to be different and all that stuff, okay? Like all the different drills that they have implemented in the past. I think last year they had, the corner end zone drill where the quarterback has to drop back and throw it to the corner of the end zone. That was a new drill. I can't really think off the top of my head what other drills they had. But I mean, you're still going to have the simple 40-yard dash, the bench press, the vert, and all, the long jump or whatever it's called, or broad jump, that's what it's called, and stuff like that. So you're going to have those main ones obviously still there, but there could be ones added in the future to see, okay, can this guy perform in this way, and how well can he do? But yeah, I like this for the most part. It'll be interesting to see how these cities kind of go about that once they get that scouting combine bid, if you will. So let's get away from the scouting combine and talk about a situation that was a big thing last year due to our best friend, Mr. fucking COVID, okay, opting out. So last season, the NFL allowed players to opt out of the season if they felt threatened by the virus, okay? There was like tier 1, 2, and 3, so pretty much is like high risk, moderate risk, and low risk athletes that could have been, affected by COVID. Well, last night, Tom Pelissero actually went out and reported on Twitter that NFL players have until 4 p.m. Eastern Time next Friday, July 2nd, to inform their team if they're going to opt out of the 2021 season. So higher risk players for COVID, again, are entitled to $350,000 stipend, okay? But volunteer opt-outs get nothing. So if you're like, yeah, I guess I'll opt out. If you're not high risk, you're not going to get paid any of your salary at all. Okay? And now last year their stipend was actually $150,000. Now that's not for the volunteer portion. I'm pretty sure it's for the higher risk. Now I find it really kind of odd that the stipend is actually higher than last year because, COVID was a brand new thing. Okay? There was no vaccination. There were no fans in the stadium. So, you were in a safer environment. Granted, we didn't know a whole lot about COVID, so I understand that. But it also did help the salary cap out a little bit this year, okay? But $150,000 to $350,000 in a year where, most players are vaccinated. I'm not sure the exact percentage or number. That is not my, problem to deal with. It's all confidential. They can get vaccinated or not. It doesn't matter to me. Whatever floats their boat. But there's going to be full fans in stadiums. They figured out all the safety precautions and whatnot, how to go about keeping these players safe and keeping the fans safe and making sure the stadium is cleaned, okay? I do understand, however, why the stipend would be higher due to full stadiums, which could be which could end up putting more players at risk. Okay, so really what that does is just if you're at high risk, I don't think they're going with the moderate risk or low risk at all for the stipend. I'm not 100% sure. Haven't really dug too deep in that situation, but I could understand why with full stadiums it could put more players at risk, especially with the non-vaccinated fans being there and the non-vax. Well, at least I think the on-field personnel, whether they're media or your photography and whatnot, you have to be vaccinated. I'm not 100% sure how that all is going to play out this upcoming season, but hey, we'll get there. We're still learning and go from there. Okay, now especially, like I said, if the players aren't vaccinated, that also puts them at risk with the other people that aren't vaccinated as well, because you don't know. You have to be tested every single day. I think when I read, they are still doing regular testing. I think it's a couple times a week to begin the season. I think it goes down to once a week or whatnot. I'm not 100% sure how that all will work out. I can go look and check for you guys if you really want me to. I know COVID's kind of a boring topic to talk about, and kind of everyone's kind of sick of it, including myself. And then Tom Pelissero, I guess, also reported that only players, who executed their contracts prior to October 1st, 2020, so signed their contract, and got their amount of money. So if they did that prior to October 1st, 2020, they are eligible to take a volunteer opt-out. So 2021 rookies are not eligible at all to voluntary opt-out or voluntarily opt-out. There you go. So if a higher risk, rookie opts out, the club still owns his rights. They still drafted him, they still went out. It's their choice whether they want to cut him, whether they want to keep him on the team, or trade him, and all that. So they still own his rights, And all opt-outs decisions are final. Okay, so if you want to opt out and you say I'm opting out, you can't come back and be like, no, I want to play. Nope, sorry. They're final. That is all it is. The proof is in the pudding. It's written in stone. The cookie has crumbled the way it's going to. Okay, that's just how the cookie crumbles. So now this is some big news, at least to me, because I feel like the players don't need to opt out. Okay, they're going to get a lot of backlash if they do. Now, granted, if they do have health issues or they are at higher risk, I can understand. But at the same time, they could just go get vaccinated. I'm not sure how much you can really trust it and whatnot, but like I understand that. But they're going to face some backlash. Players do not need to opt out. They already tried to do that last season. There was a lot of people missing, a lot of big names, especially for the Vikings. We didn't have Michael Pierce, who signed last year, opted out of the season, which I understand. He got that whole off season or whole season to really work out and perfect his craft, learn the playbook and whatnot. But by now, the NFL, okay, this goes right back to what I said earlier, has put all of the safety precautions in place and are allowing full stadiums. Okay, I think there was that video of the Denver Broncos before practice last year. They were walking out and they had this like sprayer system or whatever, and it would spray like a mist on them, and it was supposed to kill a lot of the germs. And they have constant cleaning crews in the stadiums, cleaning every seat, every window, every pretty much every single spot of the stadium. Okay, so they put these safety precautions in place to try to keep fans, players, and all that healthy. Okay, so they don't need to opt out. Now, I doubt we're going to see a lot of opt-outs this season, especially, the bigger name superstars. I doubt they're going to want to opt out, especially the ones that got injured and were unable to play last year. But I doubt we're going to see a lot of them because after not playing in front of fans last season, the players are probably, jacked the fuck up to play in full stadiums in front of thousands of fans. This season is going to be one of the most electric and probably the loudest season we have ever witnessed. Okay, I'm not lying at all. This is going to be awesome. Okay, fans are going to be screaming, yelling, just high-fiving, bumping chests, getting the job done, and just having a blast. Okay, this is full stadiums. A lot of stadiums, they had the Chiefs were the first. I think it was like 5,000 at first, and they bumped it up to like 10 or 15,000 towards the end. And it was a good thing. Okay, the Super Bowl had fans. It was awesome to see, those fans back there. Still was loud. Okay, it was pretty loud for those fans being in that Super Bowl. But imagine adding a couple thousand more. Oh, it is going to be awesome. Just electrifying. Okay? Now, I can just imagine how loud each and every stadium is going to be. You look at the Minnesota Vikings with that Skol chant, just going ham, having fun. That is going to be loud, like really fucking loud. I'm talking lots of decibels up there, lots of them, okay? But it's going to be fun. And I know, especially when I go to US Bank, okay, to watch the Vikes beat the absolute piss out of the Browns, I'm going to get rough and rowdy. Now, I won't get rough. We've seen a lot of that, in the stadiums lately. You got that Padres guy walking up, what's up, boom, knocks that dude out. Then you got the Suns in 4 guy just throwing some uppercuts, Suns in 4. And there's been a lot of fights going in these stadiums because, they're back, they're ready to have some fun, they like to get rowdy and, and whatnot. So it's going to be electrifying, folks, okay? Now, like I said, I'm going to get rowdy, unless the Vikes want to let me down like they sometimes like to do. The Browns are a good team, obviously, and that is the week 4 of this season, and I'm pumped. I am so pumped to do that. But boy, okay, I am just jacked up to get back to normalcy and actually watching some fucking football in person, on TV, just to see what the fans do and how they react and how loud they're going to get and just how much of a factor that is going to play each and every week, okay, for those games. Because it could, morale boosters with those fans, it's going to be crazy, okay? Because we just had those, the fake fan noise and stuff. Yeah, that's awesome and all, and that may help, but it's nothing compared to thousands and thousands of fans going out there just, cheering and having a great time. Okay, so it's going to be fun. I'm ready for the season, and hopefully we don't see a lot of opt-outs. So enough on that opting out situation. Let's move over to the tight end university. Now, this was created by George Kittle, Greg Olsen, and Travis Kelce. 3 pristine, prestigious, awesome, high-caliber tight ends. Okay, now tight end university actually started yesterday in Nashville with about, it was about 45 to 50 tight ends from across the NFL, but I watched the video, and there was 49 tight ends that have attended, okay? Now, this is a 3-day retreat, okay, where all these tight ends, they're going to get together, they're going to chill, obviously, they're going to sit and have fun, talk, or whatever, okay? They're going to chill, they're going to train, they're going to practice, they're going to pick each other's brains. Now, I actually really like this, okay? Because it gives other tight ends a chance to really see how to really play that position, okay? For example, Tim Tebow, he just moved from quarterback to tight end. He actually took a couple years off. So he doesn't really know or fully understand how exactly to play the tight end position. He might have a good idea, obviously, with the mini camp and all that stuff. But tight end university is going to give him the opportunity to go and be like, hey, Travis, can you help me out here? How do I, do this block, or how do I get off my, how does my jump have to be, or whatever, and footwork and all that stuff. Okay, this is going to give them a chance to really just be like, okay, I got to up my game a little bit. Hopefully I can solidify a spot on the roster, because it's only 53 people. Okay, only 53 will make it. I believe it's like 75 to 80 people are actually on the roster to start training camp. So that's quite a bit. Okay, they got to narrow it down. So you got to make sure you try to get a roster spot. Okay, now this could also be very beneficial to the younger tight ends in the league. Okay, to try and be more NFL ready. Okay, we see Kyle Pitts. He was the highest drafted tight end in, the common draft era of the NFL. Okay, he's really, really good, or it was in college. He could make a very big transition here in the NFL. He's probably going to be used a lot at tight end, obviously, but he's also going to be used at the wide receiver position. So being at tight end university is going to give him that opportunity to really see how it's done, how these greats and how these top-notch tight ends actually perfect their craft, and, go out there and run routes and stuff like that. It gives them a chance to build that chemistry, build that bond, and whatnot. So we could see quite a few tight ends, okay, in the NFL make a huge jump, okay, because of this. I mean, there's quite a few names at that tight end position who are on the brink of being an absolute stud, okay? We go look at like Mark Andrews for the Baltimore Ravens. 2 years ago, he had a pretty solid year. I think last year was okay, wasn't the greatest, could have been better. And you look at Hunter Henry. Okay, last year he wasn't that good, but he's on the New England Patriots now. How can he help Cam Newton in that offense out? Who knows? This is going to be big for him. You look at Evan Ingram, has to deal with injuries the last couple seasons. He could break out. And, I could keep going on and on about these, who could actually have a breakout season, because there's some people that are just, right fucking there. Okay, they are ready to just blow up and have a really, really good season or career, if you will. So the tight end university, I think, is actually a genius idea, and I'm glad these 3, George Kittle, Travis Kelce, and Greg Olsen, actually did this. And I really wouldn't be surprised if other positions try doing this. Okay, not only is it going to make the players better, but it will develop friendships, and it'll develop, competitions to see who's actually the best at their position. I mean, we always see on social media, players calling out other players to see, hey, I could beat you in a 40-yard dash, and I bet you're a lot slower than, your 40 was actually marked at during the scouting combine. So this could be the perfect, place and situation to kind of settle some of those scores and those debates. They just had, what was it? Yeah, we talked about McCole Hardman, Justin Jefferson, Devin Bush, and Henry Ruggs III. They all went out. They did their own 40-yard dashes separately in their own, training fields or wherever the heck they were. But this, tight end university, okay, they can go out there. Who is the fastest tight end? Who's the strongest tight end? Who can catch the most balls in sticky situations? So it could settle a lot of those debates, and I think that's going to be one of the things that actually does happen. So I wouldn't be really surprised if other positions like the wide receiver, corners, safeties, and all that, they go out and have their own university. So it gets these guys even more training and more growing in the sport of football. So I guess, we'll just go from here and we'll see how well this actually affects tight end play around this league, or around the league this upcoming season, because it'll be interesting. Okay, does this tight end universe, did it work? Did it help a lot of these young guys out? Did it help some of these older guys out break out and have a really good season that they haven't had in a couple years? So it's going to be really interesting to see how this kind of all plays out. Well, that is all I got for you today, and actually this week, as we inch closer and closer to some fucking football. We are 42 days away from preseason with the Hall of Fame game, and we are 77 days from the NFL regular season game between Tom Brady and the Dallas fucking Cowboys, the entertainment team of the world, not America's team. It's the entertainment team. I can talk more about that. If you haven't listened to that segment at all, I can reiterate that a little bit some other time on the show. But, hey, I am pumped, as football is just, oh, man. It's awesome. It's actually going to be even better with all the fans there and actually see how rowdy they get. And I hope you guys are all on the same page with that and all these number switches. And it's just going to be a fun season. I really can't wait. So anyways, thank you for tuning in like always, okay? And continue to do so. Share this to your family and friends and whatnot. Get me going. And I think we're going to have a little giveaway. Not quite yet. I think in the next month, at least for sure. We're going to have a giveaway. And we'll get to that as that time comes around. So we'll probably I won't say what we're going to kind of give away yet, but there will be a giveaway just so you guys know. But like I said, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next Monday, okay, at 6 p.m. Central Time, like always, and you just got your fix with the Wicks. I appreciate it, guys. Have a wonderful rest of your day.